companies who have shifted their strategies, investing in online platforms or offering online services to reach their consumers here. Obviously, there's a double-edged sword. Make it more convenient for consumers, but makes it more easier for hackers or outsiders or nefarious groups to penetrate your businesses here. And according to CNET.com, they mentioned that ransomware rises as a national security threat as bigger threats fall. And obviously, you see a lot of big companies here, Microsoft, to name one, and other multinational companies who have been attacked, obviously to generate revenue to ransom your data, either to lock or to use social engineering or use viruses or malicious malware, uh, which is ransomware is another part of that criteria to generate revenue, obviously to hold your data hostage, and obviously if you cannot operate as a business, then it would affect your revenue in the long run. And rather than get held hostage, they would simply pay out. That's why it's called ransomware. Now, obviously, it's getting more sophisticated, more elaborate, so to speak, and to the point that calling those cyber criminals is, I think, appropriate. By freezing your computer systems, not just major corporations but also school districts. You also have universities, even public offices, from police stations to hospitals, you name it. Obviously, any company that has internet access to their platform can be penetrated if not protected here. That's why a lot of big businesses are having to invest a lot of money, time, and effort to protect their interests here, whether it's data or information and so forth from external threats. But obviously, it's more complicated than that one, right? Even the government, the White House has spoken regarding this issue that has risen to that level that even governments has to take notice that whether you're a developed country or a developing country, obviously hackers do not simply pick and choose which nation to attack, but obviously they're looking for which is the easiest target here if you're vulnerable or not. And what's interesting here is, even according to the Department of Treasury in the United States, suspected ransomware payments reported by banks or other financial institutions have totaled to already to almost 600 million. So it's a big enough industry if you think about it, considering that's just for the first six months of this year alone. So you can just imagine the years past, how much money company has been bleeding because of this incident here. Now, obviously, many were apprehensive that does this really occur. Even individuals like we do, obviously, with the using technology, smartphones, laptops, or even desktops, or we access internet on a daily basis, can be easily penetrated. Now, obviously, it doesn't make sense for them to penetrate individuals because not many can have the vast resources of big corporations here. And what's interesting here, the major attacks here are being paid, or the ransom are being paid in Bitcoin, which is another problem altogether. Now, obviously, cryptocurrency is a very popular payment model now, or investment for some, so that because of using blockchain technology, it's not easily traced. And through this ransomware, using Bitcoin or using other cryptocurrency as payment, can leave no trace here, which is difficult to follow. And the attacks can wreak havoc even for a small period of time, and obviously can impact many businesses, as much as, let's say, if you're in the gasoline industry, could drive up prices, or if you're selling commodities like meat, obviously losing control of your, let's say, supply chain or customer profiles, you name it, can be detrimental to the business, not just in the short term but in the long term here. And obviously the malware or malicious software have become more sophisticated. It's not just the virus that they use. Sometimes you don't even know it. It's lying dormant until such a time when the hackers or those parties deem it necessary looking at your information where they could steal and so forth. So they would normally look for companies' financial records, obviously to look for monetary rewards, and then hold it hostage so that they could be paid in millions of dollars. And what's interesting nowadays, one would think that only large corporations are being targeted here. No, no, no. It's also small businesses here, because small businesses are even more vulnerable because of less resources to be able to protect themselves. And even some don't even consider their small scale business could be affected, because why would they target small fish? Because there are bigger fishes to fry here. And obviously the limitations for many businesses, in particular for small businesses, is the cost consideration. One would think that when you start your business, you don't go considering, should I invest on my security here or cybersecurity protection here? And I think that's the big problem here. And even the Treasury Department goes on to say that what they're planning to do is sanction those cryptocurrency exchanges by holding insurance companies and even financial institutions that facilitate those payments would be held liable here. Now, whether they could, would it make a difference here in the long run here? It would be difficult, because obviously you need to get those personal information, but it gets kind of complicated if you look at it. But at the end of the day, the main vulnerability here is the individuals who are using those devices. And no amount of technology that you use can fully protect your business, your info, from other people's accessing it. Because if you're not careful, right, like typical is the user password here, right? Typical is one would use an easy password to use, but obviously if you did that and the others know that, they can easily crack your password and gain access to your personal info, which I don't do. Okay. And but the problem is that everyone is aware of that issue here.